So friend, good morning, and today once again we are going to see the topic histology of lung. So this is the diagram of lung. So here on the top of the diagram you can see there is presence of larynx. So which attached to this trachea. This segmented part is trachea or windpipe. So this larynx is attached to the trachea by the bone known as cricoid bone. So this is the cricoid bone which join the larynx to the trachea, and we have seen the histological structure of trachea. So what is the speciality of wall of trachea? So we have seen, instead of smooth muscle layer before the adventitia or serosa, there will be presence of hyaline cartilage. These ring-like structures which are present in the trachea are nothing but the hyaline cartilages. So near about 16 to 20 hyaline cartilages are present generally in human beings. So this windpipe, after reaching in the thoracic cage properly, at the end it bifurcates. So this bifurcation of trachea will occur, and this bifurcation is called as the primary trachea. So very first bifurcation of the trachea is called as primary bronchi. So this primary bronchi then again enter into the lungs. So we know that there are presence of two lungs, one present on the right side, one present on the left side. So friends, this primary bronchi, after entering or penetrating into the lungs, they further get divided into this secondary bronchi, and then again secondary bronchi divide to form the tertiary bronchi. So small network of bronchus will form, and according to width of that bronchus, it is called as the primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, and tertiary bronchi. And at the last, tertiary bronchi will give rise to the bronchioles. So these bronchioles, friends, on the right side you can see these bronchioles are enter into the alveolar sacs, and this alveolar sac is the place, friends, where your respiration takes place. Okay, so your respiration takes place. So friend, here you can see this is the alveolar sac, and this is the place where your respiration takes place. आपलं जे श्वसनाची क्रिया आहे, so we know that we take oxygen from the environment, and we get into the windpipe and into the lungs, and at the place of alveoli or alveolar sac, it is given to the blood. Okay, so and at the same place oxygen is taken from the blood, sorry, CO2 is taken from the blood, and it is transferred to the trachea, to the larynx, to the nose, and from nose or nostrils it is thrown out of the into the environment. So this is the process of respiration or uptake of oxygen, and it is also called as inhalation, and throwing out or exhalation of carbon dioxide takes place at the place of alveolar sac. आणि ही alveolar sac जी आहे, it is highly vascularized. Vascularized means many vessels, blood vessels are present, and it is very important to have many blood vessels here, because the somewhere your heart, friends, have the left, this is your left lung, remember that, this is L for left and R for right. So friends, this right lung is having three lobes divided by connective tissue. Okay, but in case of the left lung, it is having only two lobes. Why? Because there will be presence of heart. So you can see the cardiac notch means the place or space for the heart. So such a way, friends, here your heart is located. So here I am drawing it is a little bit smaller, but for your understanding purpose. So this is the vena cava, superior vena cava. Then again on downward there will be heart's inferior vena cava, and again here somewhere your aorta. Okay, so remember that into the lung, the deoxygenated blood means the blood which don't have sufficient amount of oxygen, it is carried by the pulmonary artery. Remember that it is carried by pulmonary artery. Deoxygenated blood is carried into the lung by pulmonary artery. Okay, so we know that our heart is having four compartments. So two atrium and two ventricles. So atriums are small and ventricles are larger. So here the pulmonary artery is carrying deoxygenated blood, and here at the place of here I have make rectangle here at this alveolar sac place. This whatever the blood is coming into the lung, it get oxygenated, and then friends from here it is again carried to the left side or left atrium of our heart. And which is this artery? This is pulmonary vein. सो जनरली हे का सांगतोय मित्र हो मी तुम्हाला, जनरली आपल्याला माहिती आहे की वेन्स ज्या आहेत त्या डिऑक्सिजनेटेड ब्लड कॅरी करतात, बट इन केस ऑफ दिस लंग आर्टरी, पल्मोनरी आर्टरी इज हॅव्हिंग, इथे विरुद्ध आहे, pulmonary artery is having deoxygenated blood and pulmonary vein is carrying oxygenated blood where to your heart, and from this heart the blood will be distributed to your organs. This blood will be distributed to your organs. So this is very rough, but I am trying to write organs. So this is the mechanism of circulation. Okay, with the help of aorta and arteries, the oxygen is provided to different organs. So on the right side, you can see the enlarged or zoom structure of your alveolar sac. So singularly, it is called as the alveoli. Okay, and here you can see there is presence of, at every alveolar sac there will be presence of pulmonary branch of pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. So this is the diagram of lung and mechanism of respiration, how respiration is takes place. This is the mechanism, that is how the respiration is takes place. So we will see the theoretical part of the liver as your syllabus aspect or syllabus point of view. The lungs are paired elastic sacs situated in thorax. So lungs are present in thorax. So this is the location of thorax. So second point is the man left lung is divided into two lobes because heart is present, and right one is divided into the three lobes. Okay, by with, and how these lobes will form? With the help of connective tissue. And then the trachea divide into two bronchi. So we have seen primary bronchi. Trachea is bifurcating or dividing into two branches. One is going into right lung, other is going into left lung. So two bronchi, each one of which enter the lung, and it is entering the lung. So along with the bronchus, a pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein, which are coming from heart, are entering into your lungs. And I have told you what is the function of artery and pulmonary vein in circulation. So friends, there must be some nerves or neurons. For what purpose? For your autonomic respiration. So these neurons can give information to your brain. न्यूरॉन्स कशासाठी तिथे प्रेझेंट असले पाहिजे? तुमच्या रेस्पिरेशन बद्दल. रेस्पिरेटरी सेंटर हे तुमच्या पॉन्स आणि मिडब्रेन मध्ये असतं मित्र हो. सो वॉट एव्हर द इन्फॉर्मेशन, रेस्पिरेशन कसं चाललंय आपल्या बॉडीची याची इन्फॉर्मेशन ही ब्रेन पर्यंत गेली पाहिजे. त्यासाठी काही न्यूरॉन्स किंवा नर्व्स असल्या पाहिजे. अँड व्हेर इज द respiratory center is present into your pons and medulla oblongata, which is part of your midbrain generally. So our respiration can occur properly. आहे का नाही? आपल्या ब्रेनला ज्या वेळेस ह्या नर्व सांगतील की ओके ऑक्सिजन व्यवस्थित येतोय, कार्बन डायऑक्साइड व्यवस्थित जातोय, सो इट कीप स्टिम्युलेटिंग आवर ब्रेन फॉर ऑटोनॉमिक respiration, automatic respiration. Okay, so and there must be some lymphatics. So what is the function of lymphatics? It carries WBCs for protection purposes in connective tissue enter the lung. So lung is covered by the serous membrane called as pleura. So one thing you have to remember that आपल्या लंग वरती एक सिरस मेम्ब्रेनची कव्हरिंग असते, त्याला प्ल्युरा असं म्हणतात. ऑल ओव्हर द लंग देअर विल बी thin covering of connective tissue called as pleural tissue, which is continuous with peritoneum. So the surface of the lung shows smaller irregular shapes, areas marked with dark lines, and these areas corresponding to lobules of lungs inside. So we have seen on the right side zoom structure, there will be presence of lobules or alveolar sacs. So which forming it is sponge like tissue. So somewhere it is called as alveolar sac or lobules. So the bronchus entering the lung divides into many secondary bronchi as there are lobes of lung. So जसे मी तुम्हाला ज्या पद्धतीने सांगितले की प्रायमरी bronchi are further divided into the secondary, and secondary further divide into tertiary. Why they are dividing? Because we have discussed की right lung मध्ये 3 lobes आहेत, left lung मध्ये 2 lobes आहेत, and these lobes are divided by connective tissue. So this division takes place for reaching every lobe. प्रत्येक लोब पर्यंत जायला पाहिजे. आणि finally these all branches are at the end converted into bronchioles. आणि ब्रॉन्क्युल्स कशामध्ये एंटर होतात? अल्व्हिओलर सॅक मध्ये, ज्या ठिकाणी रेस्पिरेशन होतं मित्रांनो. सो द सेकंडरी ब्रोंकस, here you can see the secondary bronchus branches profusely inside the lobe, and the smallest branch, see आत्ताच मी तुम्हाला just I have told you that the smallest branch is called as bronchiole, enter into the lobule or alveolar sac. So these bronchioles, see here on the next line, these bronchioles have their own walls which line by cuboidal epithelium. So bronchioles wall is lined by cuboidal epithelium. तर आपण बऱ्याच ठिकाणी क्युबॉइडल आणि कॉल्युमिनार एपिथेलियमचा आपण उल्लेख केलेला आहे while learning different types of organs. So these cuboidal epithelium cells, while the larger ducts are lined by, see, the larger duct are lined by columnar ciliated epithelial cells. So ciliated epithelium is also present in the bronchioles. And what is the purpose? To propel the foreign particle, dust particle or microorganisms. So our lung can be protected by better way. So the bronchioles have no supporting structure. See, just we take example of our trachea. It is having the hyaline cartilage for support, but in case of bronchioles, they don't have such type of supporting structure or tissue like cartilage. So they are independent of support, and they don't have cartilage in their wall. So these bronchioles along with their sub branches are completely entangled in spongy work. See, I have told you that spongy work of lobule. So these many small sacs or alveoli are come together to form alveolus, and these form the spongy tissue or sacs for respiration purpose. When the air is inhaled म्हणजे आतमध्ये घेणे, the spongy work is distended or extended. ज्या वेळेस आपण ऑक्सिजन आतमध्ये घेतो एन्व्हायरमेंट मधनं, त्या in that condition our spongy sacs, alveolar sacs get distended, and there is no danger of collapse of bronchioles, and hence no supporting structure are needed. सो पूर्ण ब्रांक्युअल जो आहे किंवा जी सॅक आहे ती एक युनिट म्हणून काम करते, अँड बिकॉज ऑफ दॅट रिझन देर विल बी नो डेंजर ऑफ कोलॅप्स ऑफ ब्रॉन्क्युअल्स. Okay, so because they don't need any type of support. Okay, so there are no glands in the lining of bronchioles. Bronchioles lining मध्ये there will be no glands are present. So up to the bronchioles, all structures are merely conducting channels and no exchange of bronchial. See, I have told you already the mechanism of respiration, that up to the bronchioles there will be no exchange of gases, either oxygen from environment to the blood or CO2 from blood to the lungs. So no exchange of gases takes place up to the bronchioles. But after entering, see here, but after entering the lobule, the bronchioles gives out two or more branches which called the respiratory bronchioles, which हे जे bronchioles आहेत ते sac मध्ये enter करतात आणि which is the place for respiration. So their terminal end sparkled up like the horn of trumpet. So the respiratory bronchioles open into the long corridor like cavity in spongy work of wall of the lobule. So these cavities are called alveolar duct. See, alveolar sac or alveolar ducts. So each alveolar duct on its way give rise to number of small rounded cavities called alveoli. So singularly it is called as alveoli, and प्लुरली ज्यावेळेस खूप सारे अल्व्हिओलाई एकत्र येतात, then it is called as alveolus. So like we have seen in the diagram in the previous slide, there will be presence of alveolar duct or alveolar sac. So these are, here you can see, so these are respiratory unit where exchange of gases takes place. एक्सचेंज म्हणजे गैसेसची घेवाण देवाण होते, ऑक्सीजन दिया जातो आणि ऑक्सीजन के बदले में कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड लिया जाता है. So such a way exchange of gases takes place. At the end of alveolar duct there may be slightly enlarged cavity, the alveolar sac in sac, which in turn may open into the number of alveoli. So this is the case, friend, how the exchange of gases takes place at the place of alveolar sac. So there are small partition of connective tissue which separate the adjacent alveoli. जसं आपण डायग्राम मध्ये पाहिलं होतं की there will be so many alveoli are present. So how they are separated? They are separated with the help of connective tissue. Alveoli are separated connective tissue. But one thing is there, these are called the alveolar septa or alveolar walls. Okay, but it should be noted, one thing we should know, that it should be noted that while the bronchioles have their own walls, the alveoli do not have their own walls. म्हणजे काय, की दोन ऑल्व्हिओलायच्या मध्ये जी वॉल असते, दे आर हॅव्हिंग दी common wall. They don't have separate wall like the bronchioles. They are having common walls. So the septa in between any two alveoli, look at this. So the septa in between any two alveoli are common to both of them. So the alveoli have no definite walls of their own except thin epithelial lining. So they are having the thin epithelial lining, but they are having the common wall. So friends, this is the our targeted tissue histology, that is histology of lung. So we have seen the structure of lung, physiology of lung, mechanism, respiration, and this is the histological structure of lung. So here you can see these rounded, these spaces, these are the alveolar sacs. These empty spaces are alveolar sacs, and these are the places where our respiration takes place. So this respiration, that is taking in oxygen from environment, and whatever the CO2 formed by our body in metabolic reactions taken out into the lung and into the from your nose, it will be released out of in the environment. So this mechanism is takes place here in these empty places. So here you can see this pulmonary, PA for pulmonary artery, and which is coming from, we know that, which is coming from your heart, and then this is pulmonary vein going to your heart. Okay, so it is having less oxygen, deoxygenated blood, and this pulmonary vein is having so much oxygenated blood which carry to your left part of your heart. Okay, for distribution to your organs of the body. And we know that without oxygen, our delicate organ no longer survive. Okay, it will die soon in case of absence of oxygen. So this is B for bronchioles. You can see this is B for bronchioles, and these bronchioles are entering into the different sacs. So this is the adventitia, and you can see here they have labeled this empty space, that alveoli, and this is the tributary of different arteries. Tributary म्हणजे त्याच्या उपवाहिन्या. So you can see here pulmonary arteries branches spreading into the lung. So these, remember that friend, these empty spaces called as alveoli are 90% present in our lung. Okay, so here on the down you can see in the this wall of alveoli is made from different types of cell. So very first cell is the nematocyte 1. So this nematocyte 1 is forming, it will form 95% of this wall. See here I have written the percentage here. So 95% of the nematocyte 1 are present in the wall of alveoli. And remember that these nematocyte 1 are made from the thin, flat, squamous epithelial tissue. Thin, flat, squamous epithelial tissue. So it is type of tissue, squamous epithelial tissue, thin and flat. So, and the other cells are present which are nematocyte 2, which are the cuboidal and some columnar cells will be there, and they secrete the surfactants. Okay, They will keep your alveoli moist, keep your alveoli lumen moist. त्याचं जी पोकळ हे जे असते आतली बाजू जे असते आपल्या अल्व्हिओलायची, दिस नेमॅटोसाइट टू secrete secrete the secrete the surfactant, some serous and mucus material inside alveoli to keep these मॉइस्ट, ओलावा कंटिन्युअसली ठेवण्यासाठी, मेंटेन करण्यासाठी न्यूमॅटोसाइट 2 काम करतात. अँड दे फॉर्म the 5% of this wall. So 5% of, and there will be present of very less amount of macrophages. So we know that friend, macrophages are डिफेन्स लाईन सेल, म्हणजे ज्या की आपल्या बॉडीला प्रोटेक्ट करतात. उदाहरण जर द्यायचं झालं तर व्हाईल लर्निंग दी लिव्हर, वी हॅव डिस्कस इन द लोब्यूल देर विल बी सायनुसॉइड मध्ये कफर सेल्स प्रेझेंट असतात. देर विल बी प्रेझेंट ऑफ कफर सेल्स, दे आर ऑल्सो मायक्रोफाज सेल्स. परंतु लिव्हर मध्ये त्याला एक विशिष्ट नाव दिलेलं आहे, त्याला म्हटलेलं आहे कफर सेल्स. सो सेम मायक्रोफाजेस विल बी प्रेझेंट इन टू युअर alveoli. And what is the purpose? For engulfment of or for protection from foreign bodies, microorganisms and dust particles. So this is the simple histological structure of your lung. And simply we have seen the physiology of lung.